Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Ed Talk TV, Conversations Worth Having. I'm your host, Ed Troxel, and this is where we talk about business, tech, the user experience, and all the good stuff that comes with that. Now, the way the show works is that we talk about those topics. I try to bring in some fun, random app or viral video or whatever. We haven't really figured out a name yet for this little part of the segment here, but that's okay. You should be able to hear me fine. We're going to talk about that in a second. But today we have a special guest, which we'll bring on here shortly. Before I do, I like to share little tips prior. And then also, if you are thinking about becoming a guest, you can actually, after the broadcast, go over to checkwithed.com and click on the Facebook Live show. That menu item, that tab is in the menu item. And then you can see more about the show and request to be a guest so that you can share your knowledge and jump on a live with me. So let's talk about yesterday for a second, because my executive producer totally blew it. Let's just say the audio yesterday, you guys, if you tuned into the show, you were too kind, like too kind, because I started to listen to the replay and I was like, fired, you're fired. The only problem is that I can't fire him because he's really good and he knows his stuff. And he's really, this is what the whole show is all about, right? So unfortunately, I can't fire him. But we worked on it, so I got wired up today, which is great. I'm going to be testing out some other equipment coming soon. So, I like to go wireless, so I'm not wired, because I like to move around a little bit. I'm also going to be testing out another webcam later on, probably next week. So you might see some differences there. That's the beauty of this. This is what you do when you want to try something. You just try it and see what happens. So that's what is a little bit about the show. That's kind of what happened yesterday. The show still went on. And guess what? We still had a ton of live viewers. We still had people afterwards watching the replay and commenting. They still got a lot of knowledge. It was a really well shared broadcast. So be sure to love this one, share it. The key is to do more than just a like. So there's a little reason behind that, because likes are great, but if you start using the emotions that Facebook gives you, that helps boost the post. So that's a fun tip for you for everything that you're doing. Also keep in mind that commenting is huge. We want to engage with you. If we're not engaging during the actual broadcast, we'll follow up with you afterwards. If you got to go, just drop a comment. Let us know that you showed up and that you're here and that you're hanging out. So that being said, normally I do this part by myself where I just tell you the tip, but I'm actually going to bring on our guest in a minute and have her listen into this as well, because this one's a fun one that I kind of held back with because I wanted to share this app with her as well. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest, Midori. So give me a second here to go ahead and move one screen down. We're going to bring one screen up. I'm using Be Live for those who don't know or who are just tuning in. And we have our guest.
Hi.
How are you?
I am doing great. I'm so excited to be here with you, Ed, on Facebook Live. It's been a while.
It has. I'm so excited that you're here. And I'll let you introduce yourself in a minute here. But what I wanted to do was share this app that I think is hilarious. And I thought about you, and I'll just talk about it.
Okay.
So there's this app, you guys, out. And apparently it's only for corporate businesses like in the San Francisco Bay Area currently. But I think it's going to be a big hit soon. So it's called Booster Fuels. And what it is they will actually come to you, to your place of business, and fill up your gas tank.
What?
So you don't have to worry about being empty ever again.
Do you know that my husband and I, that has been the biggest issue in our marriage, is him leaving my gas tank empty? Do you know this, Ed?
I do. That's why I had to save this one for you and hope that it comes to all of us here soon outside of the corporate world.
To us regular people.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. So go ahead, Midori, introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, and then we'll start jumping into today's topic.
Okay. So I'm Midori Verdi. I help couples stop the screaming and start the thriving. And really what it's all about, what I have found from doing this for a long time, is that it's about communication. And so regardless of whether we're talking communication in a relationship or a business communication, it's all very similar. And so that's why Ed and I collaborated, and that's what we're going to be talking about today is about communication in general and how it can help. What I've seen so many times, Ed, is that people have no clue how to adjust their communication towards whether it's their partner or whether it's their boss or a coworker. And once you understand the simple dynamics of it, the practicalities of it, and there's four different elements of it. But it makes your success level will skyrocket, and in your relationship with your main squeeze, they will finally listen to you. So I'm just very passionate about bringing the whole skill set of communication to people.
I love it. I love it. And you do such a great job. And let me see if I can get rid of this echo. Let's try that and back in. So yeah, perfect. And communication's key. I mean, that's what we talk about for business all the time. That's why I started doing this talk show. So that way it not only helps me, but it helps you as the guest and our viewers, because that's the big thing, is that there's so many of us that are just tuning in. We're just watching, but we may not be participating enough. And like I say, the magic happens in the comments. And then that's where you start building your confidence. That's where you start building your relationships. And then you take it to the next level. It's kind of like dating, I guess. You start by watching, then you start engaging, and then you start moving on to, in this case, going live.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, you know my story, Ed, but I went to a business event and they were saying, okay, Midori, you need to get on the internet. You need to have video. You need to be out there. I was like, oh, that's so scary. Are you kidding me right now? And that's when Periscope was launching. For those of you who are, into all this online video, Periscope was kind of the beginning of it. And so I made myself do a Periscope. I did it for at least 30 days straight, but I think it was more like around 90 days straight. And that was the beginning. And now so many doors have opened. I've been on, TV shows, and I'm getting on more stages, but that was really the start. So for those of you who are in business, just like Ed, just like what you said, Ed, it starts small. Just start with many steps and just keep building. And relationships.
Yeah, and it's true. Like you mentioned, I'm glad you mentioned it, that video has grown your exposure. It's taken you've been on the news, you've been on these different TV shows. Like, it's awesome, and it takes you to that next level. And the reason why is because people can actually see you, they can hear you, they can get a sense of who you are without having to be right there next to you in person. This is the next best thing. So it's a perfect example.
Yeah, it's totally changed the game. It's absolutely changed the game, because now you get to know the person. If they're not authentic, it shines through. That's why, Ed, I think your following is growing so much, is that your authenticity. I've known you for a long time, so I know how fabulous and how awesome you are. But as people see you more and more, they're like, oh, he is the real deal. He is honest and sincere, and he's true to what he says, and it comes through.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. Yeah, it's, by the way, I didn't pay her to say that, guys. No. But yes, it's so true. And that's why I've become more comfortable with video. It's not like I'm throwing my hands up saying, yes, please pick me to do video right away. No, I'm still shy about it, but it's one of those things that I know what potential it has. And I know, even from doing just a few episodes, I mean, I already had a new client. I had people talking about wanting to hire me for some other things. I also have seen my page here on Facebook grow significantly in follows, not necessarily likes, which is okay, because follows is more important. And I've seen more people show up to my broadcasts, both live and replays, and more people are commenting, which is all I care about because I'm all about the engagement. So it totally has been a game changer. And it's one of those things where one of my guests actually from yesterday, Kim Doyle, was on the show, and we talked about how it's live video. You have to know going into it that it's an investment, that you're not going to see necessarily results overnight. You have to be in it for the long run, and that you can't just do a couple live broadcasts and say, oh, well, I didn't make any money from that, so I got to change it up. You have to be in it to win it.
Yeah, and I think also totally agree with you, but the other part of it as well is when you go into it, you have to be willing to serve and to deliver something. If those who I see always thinking about the money, you can tell. You can tell
yeah.
they're only thinking about the money. And they don't, you kind of get that sleazy feeling. And so I'm with you.
Yeah, it is. It's all about serving and really understanding that, it's not about the numbers. That's what me. I've never been about the numbers. I'm all about building the relationships, and in turn, it will come back to me at some point for whatever reason. Like, that's cool. As long as I can get some bills paid in the meantime, we're okay.
Right. The long term.
Yeah, exactly. So what are we going to talk about today? What are you going to share with us and the audience today?
Well, I'd love to share some tips on communication, and what I've been studying quite a bit, and I've just delved in with both feet, and I'm totally engulfed in this this new type of understanding of communication. It's called the DISC assessment. Those who are from the corporate world have heard of this. It's DISC. And it's an assessment that's been around for 50 years. It is used by the biggest of the biggest corporations. And what I have done, so let me give you a little brief background on what it is. It is a behavioral assessment. So it's not about your intelligence. It's not about what you're good at. It's just really looking at a deep dive of who you are. And what it will reveal is what stresses you out, how you react to stress, how you should be talking to others within the DISC system, using the DISC system to have more successful engagement interactions. And that's what's so awesome about it. So just real quick, just the quick kind of the cliff notes of what the DISC is. It's broken down into 4 areas. So the D is the dominant person. This is the person who often is the boss. They move fast, and they're just they want to be the leader. And then there's the I, and these are the social butterflies. You can always find an I. You can always tell the I in the pack, right?
Love it.
They also move fast, and they want to be acknowledged for things. And then you have the S's. Those are known as the steadiness person. The S's are great for having on your team. Often the S is your best friend, the person that you can confide in, that you can trust. They move a little bit slower, they're more cautious. And then you have the C. And the C is the person who gets everything done well. They're the accountants. They're the ones that cross the T's and dot the I's. I am not a C. I'm definitely not a C. But they move slower because they want to make sure they get it done well and they get it done right and they do all the research. So within these dynamics, most of us can sense where we fit within there. And then, of course, there's a whole, no one is a pure D. No one's a pure C. So, you're a mix of it. But it gives you the personality traits of it, and the way that you interact is what's the most important in understanding the DISC system.
That's awesome. And I love acronyms. That makes life so much easier when you have acronyms like that.
Right. I'm all about easy. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. And when it comes to the C, I'm totally not a C either. I'm like, nope, we need to keep things moving forward, and somebody else can deal with all that stuff.
Right. But they're important to have on your team. So
yes.
if you want to, if you're coming up with a brand new product and you want it to come out and just be kick ass, you want that C on your team. However, that C working with the D, they may make each other nuts. So, you just have to learn to have them acquiesce. And if you are the person in charge of the team, you need to understand the dynamics of that so that you can keep the peace and keep everyone fulfilling their roles to the best of their ability.
Yeah, no, and communication is huge. And I know you study a lot of this stuff, which is always why we have such great conversations, because you always have so much knowledge around this and being able to tailor your communication. So yeah, let's dive in. I love it.
Okay, yeah. So let's take the D. So the D is, again, he or she is a dominant person. When you are working with someone, should we approach it from the sales standpoint or from business standpoint? Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, whatever works for you.
Okay, so when you're dealing with someone like that, they want things very concise. They want you to be professional, and give them 2 options. Don't give them 10 options. Give them 2 and have your crap together. Know what you're going to present to them, and then deliver it in a professional manner. They don't want to be chummy with you. They don't want to be your best friend. Don't ever come across that. So when we talk about building relationships, you are going to build a relationship with the D type of personality by being professional and see where it evolves and let them be the lead on it. So with the I's, when you approach them, they are more charismatic. They want to talk with someone who is going to be fun and engaging and have a good personality. They do have a tendency to be impulsive. They do have a tendency to make decisions really quickly without fully thinking it out. So you want to be aware of that too. If you're trying to sell something to them, you don't necessarily, just making the sale is not the best thing, because they may come back and say, I want a refund, right?
Yep.
We all know people like this. So, getting to know them better and getting them to fully understand and making sure that they're making the right decision is a better approach. And then for the S, they are the ones, they may say yes because they're scared to say no. So you want to make sure, because they really are kind of the people pleaser, and they move slower. They tend to move slower, whereas the I, they'll be like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's do it right now, right?
Yep.
Whereas the S, they may take a little bit longer, and it's okay. You need to approach them in a slower manner. Don't talk to them too loud. Don't try to be the domineering person with them, because they will retreat from you. Similar to the C, if you are trying to sell them on, or if you are trying to, engage with someone who's a C, they're the one at the party who is by themselves, right? Okay. They don't even really want to be there. They're there because their boss made them come, or their spouse is like, oh, it'll be so fun, and made them come, but they really don't want to be there. But it's better to talk to them with facts. Don't go to them with, all these made up kind of like beautiful, colorful stories. They don't care. They're going to lose interest. So come to them with the facts. Be very methodical. And if you're working with them in business or in a team, you want to have 10 different options for them. Give them everything. They want all the facts. So those are kind of there's so much more to this, but that's kind of the ground level of understanding what DISC is about, the personalities.
Yeah, no, and that totally makes sense. And then as you were saying that for each one of them, I can start picturing myself in a few of those. So it really makes sense that they do, combined with each other, and that they do all work together for that.
Right, which is what I call that, Ed, is the behavioral personality profile, the BPP, and that's the blend of where you are on the chart of the DISC. And when you really understand that and you delve deep into that, you have such a clear understanding of people. It's crazy. And so with your kids, with your business partners, with your coworkers, really kind of changes the game. And you know how to approach them and what freaks them out and what they don't like and what they do like, and become much more effective in your communication. That
is huge. And how has that affected people that you've worked with, that you've talked with about this method? How have you seen the change in that?
Well, I'll tell you, before, when I'd meet someone who was a C, because I'm a high I and a high D. But when I would meet someone who's a C, because my C was really, really teeny tiny, I would think, oh, they'll like me if I engage with them. If I if I'm super friendly and outgoing, they'll like me, right?
Yep.
So not true. So they would freak out with me. They'd be like, ugh. And I started to notice that they would retreat from me, and then I got it. I'm like, oh, it's because they're a C and I'm freaking them out. I need to talk slower. I need to talk more about facts and not be so colorful. That's not what they engage with. And so I've seen two different things, Ed. I've seen where now I can talk better with people and they listen and I can engage with them at a much more effective level. And I am less judgmental of people. So when I see someone who's dressed very conservative and they move slow and they talk slow, I understand why they are. So I push away my past judgments that I may or may not have had.
Yeah, no, it's true. And by the way, for those watching as well, every time when I look down, I actually help jump in the comments on the Facebook page because, you know, the comments are showing up on Be Live, but it's also nice to be in the actual Facebook app sharing and talking. So that's why eyes go down a little bit sometimes.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah, so it's all about that communication factor and being able to understand on a deeper level what your environment is. I guess I could say it that way, is what the environment's like and how you should approach it, just like anything in business, right?
Right, anything in business, and then even with relationships. So you can kind of see, this is where it comes into relationships.
Yeah.
You know, I work with married couples in general, but when you see someone who's stressed out, you can tell, you know, for instance, if it's a high D, when they're stressed out, they are going to yell, they're going to become more dominating. And they need to stay at that level. They need to feel, if you're trying to acquiesce with them and keep them as calm as possible, it is best to let them stay at that dominant level. Because if you try to undermine them and say, no, I'm the boss, all hell's going to break loose. That's just the way it is. There's a time and day to talk about it. But when you are in that situation, it is not going to go well for anybody if you try to make them feel like they are lesser. Make sense? That they're not in control. Whereas with someone who is a high C, when they are really stressed out, they may be the person in the room who disappears. All of a sudden you're like, hey, where did Joe go? And you laugh because you're freaking him out. Because maybe you're changing the schedule, maybe you're changing what the plan was for the product, and it's freaking him out because he's done so much work and he knew where he was going, and now you've changed it. And they don't want any part of that. So that's the kind of understanding that you need to have, especially as a leader or in a relationship, because then you understand what they need, and then you can give it to them so that everyone's happier.
Right. And so how do, because we'll jump into the relationship part of it, because obviously that's what communication drives us to, is what do a lot of people tend to come to you with? What kind of, I don't want to say problem, but the struggle that they come to you with the most?
You know, it can be anything. Where we're from Sonoma County, for those of you watching from all over, and we just have the big fires here. So that's been a huge issue. Couples are really stressed out. And so they're coming to me saying, he said he's doing this, he's doing that, or she's not doing this, or she's not doing that. So the stress levels are really high. It really does. And what it comes down to, it doesn't matter what the problem is, because it always breaks down to the communication. And getting on the same page and understanding, okay, well, she's acting like that because her whole world has been blown up. And for Susie, it was really important for her to have a regular schedule and to know what tomorrow brought. That was what her comfort level was, and now that's all gone. So if I was her spouse, or if I'm their coach, I help them understand that, so that they can have a new appreciation for each other and a new understanding, instead of just thinking, wow, she's bugging the crap out of me because she's freaking out. Instead, you come from a point where, okay, I get it. She is really upset. This is stressing her out, stressing me out. let's talk about this. Let's come up with a new way of creating some stability in our situation. Make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense. And such a real life example too, with our area going through all of that for a long time too, I'm sure, for it. So when it comes to the relationship part and being able to work on that communication, what are just a couple suggestions that you would have for, even in teammates? Because teammates are like a relationship. It's,
Yeah.
maybe you got a husband, a wife, or whatever, like your team grows over time, whether you're just starting out as an entrepreneur or you're fully on deck with having a team that you're ready to bring on to your into your business.
Right. So it's important to know that, like what we talked about, the 4 disc personality types. So therefore, if you know that Charlie is a C, then you know the team is planning on changing something. You can go approach him beforehand and say, look, Charlie, here's the situation. We are about to change things. I know that you've worked so hard. You have to acknowledge them, how hard they've worked, because they worked their asses off. And, just acknowledging that and just talking to them beforehand, because then it's not a shock, right?
Yep.
They feel like they've been appreciated, you've met their needs, and they know what to expect. It's that simple. Whereas if you think of the other way, so you come in, you put your stuff down, you're like, okay, team, guess what? We are changing everything. In fact, we're moving offices. And we're combining with Team B, and it's going to be awesome. So everything that you've done, we are going to rework. Imagine how freaky that is for them. So here's another cool little thing. This is just kind of a tool to put in your pocket to keep for those moments when you are really upset, when the emotions are super high. So this can be in your marriage, in your relationship, or at work. So if you're Charlie, I keep on picking on Charlie, poor Charlie, but he's just kind of the easiest one right now.
Yeah.
So when you're really upset, a cool tool that will help you come down from that frustration, that anger, that built up blood pressure is this. And everyone needs to be listening and writing this down because it works so well. But what it's called a brain interrupt. And what you do is you breathe in, and as you're breathing out, you say your full name. So mine is Midori Ann Verity. So as I'm breathing out, I say Midori Ann Verity, and I repeat this 6 times. So then I breathe in again, and I say Midori Ann Verity. Don't do this in front of all your coworkers because you'll look weird, but go in the bathroom and do this, or go in your car, go somewhere. And what happens is immediately it interrupts your brain. So the pattern that you were on of being frustrated, freaked out, angry, wanting to punch somebody in the face, whatever it is, it stops that. It stops that. It helps you calm down so that you can get clear again and get back to where you want to be.
I love that. And it's so true, taking that time to pause and interrupt whatever you're doing. That's a big one.
It's a big one. And if you aren't able to say your name 6 times, because of whatever situation you're in, just stopping, acknowledging what's going on, and then taking a deep breath and breathing it out, it calms down your whole system. And just doing that will help substantially.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And the way you had presented it too was awesome, because the way, if somebody does come in and they want to change things up right away, you automatically, it's a negative feel and a vibe, because you're like, wait, what? But the way you approached it was showing how you need to acknowledge first and really just acknowledge them and let them know that they're appreciated. That's huge. I mean, that goes for everything. It doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is. That's a huge one. And, I used this example the other day where Amazon, I was on chat with them, and they had been some issues with my orders. And literally, they were just super transparent and were like, listen, we're having issues with our carrier. I know it's not your problem, but just wanted to let you know that that's the deal. And we kept talking after that. That's all I needed to hear.
Yep.
I just needed to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, just being totally transparent, like you said, and that makes all the difference.
It really does. And that's what why live video is so key too. You know, regular video fine is well is the same in a way, but because it's pre-recorded, people want to get very fancy and very professional and all this stuff. Well, with live video, that's why it's so popular, because you can see the raw moment. You can see what's happening. You can see, like, if I started to move around because I'm wired, I would pull the computer off of the table and this whole setup would just go down and it would be super embarrassing. And I'd have to have another talk with the executive producer tomorrow. Like,
right. Or if you have food in your teeth or whatever.
Yep.
The way it is.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's the big part. You know, today actually was the first day I did a live broadcast. I shared it. I did it on my personal profile, but I actually have it on the blog so that everyone can see it if they want to later. But I did an impromptu live on my personal profile while I was at the gym as I was leaving, which I normally don't do that because I'm sorry, but I'm just like, it's weird for me to walk around with my phone in my hand up high like this and talking to somebody. Like, this to me is weird. I felt like, you know, Nicole Walters or Chalene Johnson, where I'm super popular and like out there, you know, talking to my fans. And so it was really cool because I felt like that. And I just shared my information. I wasn't worried about how weird I looked, you know, to other people. I was in my bubble with my audience, sharing my thoughts. That's what it's all about, right?
It is. I love that. I love that you do that, Ed.
And it's so funny because I would never do this before. So those who are watching, let this motivate you and inspire you to work your way up to this. If you're not here yet, that's fine. But really, like I said at the beginning, you know, start with watching. Then I want you to start engaging in the comments, connecting with others. And then I want you to start going live and really working with that. You know, speaking of relationships, and one of the people I mentioned, Nicole Walters, the only way I got to really know Nicole and really stand out was because it was back when we first started on Periscope, and I showed up to every broadcast. This is before I went live, guys. This is way before I started going live. I showed up to every broadcast. I not only connected with her directly on the broadcast, but I connected with her audience. I provided value. I showed up and I delivered, and I shared what I knew, and I shared the broadcast. And that's what grew my relationship directly with her and her audience. And that's the same with anybody. If you just show up and deliver and come from a place of just serving, just having that value, it will come back to you and it will allow you to grow. And then you just have to practice going live. I mean, I still remember when you and I would go live at your kitchen doing the drink specials for Periscope, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. Gosh, it goes so far back. But can we talk a little bit about goals, because it's the beginning of the year, and this is so exciting for me. And
please do.
This is something I help my couples with is setting up goals and creating that excitement. And so that's what we've been really talking about, just in the last few minutes, is starting small and then engaging and then starting to have your own show or whatever your goal is.
Yep.
But so this is I'm going to give like a quick little tutorial of goal setting. You want to break them into 90-day goals. So if you have some big fat aspirations for 2018, awesome. You want them to be like, you want them to freak you out a little bit and make you excited, but break them down into 90-day chunks. And I know you know this stuff, but when you do that, studies have shown that that's when you're the most successful. And also it makes it more, it doesn't seem so far out of reach. When you think of 12 months, you're like, oh, that's good. I have all kinds of time, right? I have 12 months to get this done. When it's 90 days, it's much closer. And also it makes it more like you can start seeing the results quicker.
It is so true.
Yeah. Leads to the bigger goals.
And it's so true. And I'll be honest, I was not a fan last year of doing 90-day goals. I do goals, but it's kind of like, I know the topic, that's about it. Like, I don't want to set a date necessarily for certain things, kind of, but not really. And then right before we hit 2018, I decided, you know what? I have 3 things that I want to hit before the end of the year for 2018. I'm going to do 90-day goals for each one of those. So I have 3, 6, and 9. Those are the months that I have one big topic for each one of those. And that way I can track my progress. I'm also starting to track more of, I guess what you can call them is the income reports. Those have been popular for people. And I'm starting to just personally keep track. I mean, I have it already in my books, of course, but like really like what comes in. And then that way I can see, because some of those goals are to pay certain bills. So I want to make sure that the money that's coming in goes to those bills so that I can get those goals reached and be able to set new goals and obviously go on a vacation this year too.
I love it. I love it. That's great. But yeah, when you can see it and it's tangible, some people don't set goals because they're scared of them.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic, fear. But when you can see them, it just makes it more. And when you start, like you said, just making small ones and just starting to accomplish those ones. So if your goal is to lose 10 pounds or 15 pounds or go to the gym, just, day one, tie your shoes. Just put on your tennis shoes and tie them. And that's your first goal. And you just make a check mark. And so as you build up, it builds up your confidence and it makes it easier to start taking bigger steps and achieving those bigger, more scary goals as you go.
It's so true. And it's those baby steps that we feel like don't matter, but they do. And they might seem silly, like, oh my gosh, I'm really just going to tie my shoes. Like, come on. But you know what? You'd be surprised at how powerful just that little movement is. Today it's really, go ahead.
It's all psychology. It's all brain science.
Oh yeah.
That's all it is.
Oh, it totally is. Like totally all brain science. Like I finished reading the book, You're a Badass at Making Money.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome book. And it's all about that mindset stuff. I think we were talking about this. And for me, I'm a positive person and I have certain things, but I haven't really like sat there and said, like, I'm a badass at making money today, and that's what it tells you to do. And so it's very interesting because I've been testing that out and telling myself daily, like, you're doing a good job. Like you can accept whatever money comes your way, and not as a greedy, not coming from a greedy spot, but just coming from an awareness, I guess. And it's crazy what comes in directly and indirectly. You guys, I can't explain it, but it totally works. And it's my mind has been blown. I'll tell you that.
Well, and I can explain it a little bit because I'm like a super nerd when it comes to this stuff. I study this and it's so exciting. But all it is it's subconscious. So in your mind, you're saying, I'm a badass at making money. I'm a badass at making money. So it just starts happening more. You start doing things unconsciously that are making it so that money comes in. It's not just luck. It's not just, I'm going to send this out to the universe and it's going to come back. It's not that. It's much more scientific. And so when we say things like these I am statements, for those of you who I know, Ed, you know what those are, but I am statements like I am abundantly wealthy. I am a great mother. I am blah, blah, blah. I am an athlete. Whatever it is, as you say that more, that becomes a recording of what you believe about yourself. And you start taking steps to make sure that is what actually happens. So that's what's happening. And I love that, Ed. That's awesome.
Yeah, it totally is a game changer. And it's been really fun to be more aware of it. It's like you said, it's the subconscious thing, and just to be more aware of it and to be more open to it, and just not having those walls up and like blocking yourself from that. And I don't know, it's a really cool experience and a really, really great way to kick off the 2018.
For sure. But yeah, I think, that's a thing that's really important as you set your goals, is to start saying those things like you're saying. I was listening to Tony Robbins yesterday. I've been listening to him quite a bit recently, and he is just, he's amazing. But that's what he said. He came from nothing. He was nothing. He was very poor. His mom was abusive. His dad split. And he's like, I made myself. I made Tony Robbins. And he said he kept on repeating in his head, in his head, I forgot what he said to himself, but I am successful. I am like all those things. And that became his belief pattern. That he became who he wanted to be because he put those recordings in his head. And whatever his mom or his dad said to him growing up, he replaced those negative sayings with these positive ones. And now look at him. But that's the power that it has. So whatever goals you have, by also supporting those with positive statements about yourself, you are setting yourself up for huge success.
I love it. And it's true, because if you think back to what we always talk about as well is you are who you surround yourself with. And if you're at home, working from home, if you're an entrepreneur and nobody gets what you do, by you talking to yourself that way and be able to surround yourself with that positivity and that thinking, of course, it's going to all be for the best. Like you're going to succeed because you are surrounded by all of that goodness.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point, but I think you're saying when you're at your office and you're working alone, but you have done a good job, Ed, of engaging with those who are at that same level or, have already done even more. So they have that positive attitude, they have that success gene, and they're going after it. But if on the opposite end of it, if you're hanging out with people who are like, oh my gosh, that will never work. And, I don't know if you've noticed it with your friends. I have noticed it personally that as I start to see more success, I see more resistance from those who I thought were my closest allies. People who got nothing because they were used to the way that I was. And it's so important to be aware of that. I remember I was in this business group and I had this amazing mentor, and she said, you know that you're getting somewhere when people start pulling away from the people that you've known for a long time. Some of those people start pulling away from you. You know that you're accomplishing things and you just need to keep going because you're at that wall. You can either choose to retreat and stay small and stay where it's comfortable, right? Where people are like, oh yeah, everything's good. Or you can break through that, which is super scary, but that's where everything opens up and becomes even bigger for you. So
beautifully said. Thank you. Yeah. And that's what 2018 is all about, right? That's the word I chose was growth. That's what came to me at the end of 2017. Whatever reason, it's weird. I get these predictions for words. Last year was change, which we obviously had a lot of that. This year is growth, and it's definitely moving in that direction quickly for a lot of us.
Yeah, I love it. I'm sure all your audience.
Yes. Oh yeah, big time. Awesome. So before I let you go, do you have any other things that you'd like to share with the audience? Maybe where they can find you, or any other tips before I have me go back to just my screen?
Yeah. So you can, if they want to engage or have questions, they can always go to midoriverity.com, MIDORI, V as in Victor, ERITY.com. And then, we didn't even talk about it, but if people are interested in having a disc assessment done, I'm happy to do that for them. And so I can offer them a discount. I can do a package where I will do the disc assessment and a 30-minute private consult once I read it and I see what's going on. And I would do that for only $97. So just reach out to me and I'll send you the link for that. Normally that's $400. So
nice.
Again, if you need communication for anything in your world, it's a really powerful tool to fully understand.
Yeah, definitely. And afterwards, guys, I'll have Midori drop in a link in the comments, and feel free, even if you're watching the replay, that you can still engage with her and me as well. Awesome. Thank you so much, Midori. Everyone else, hang tight. I'll be here. Thank you so much for joining us and being a guest. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you here again as well.
Well, thanks for having me, Ed. This was a lot of fun.
You are so welcome. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Guys, how awesome was that? So even if you're watching the replay, this is money. I love it. It's so much fun to be able to bring on guests and have people from all different backgrounds and all different expertise. And this is where you're able to really connect not only with me and the people in the comments, but go connect with our guests afterwards. That's the beauty of it. You can see them in the comments. You can see them in the tags. You're able to then make these new relationships, and you're able to go follow their pages, their websites, and just really experience all that they have to offer. So that's what I love about being able to bring people onto the show. And that's the beauty of live broadcasting. And like I said, there's so much that you can do. It's amazing. So keep tuning in, keep hanging out with us every day at 4 p.m. Guess what? Tomorrow, we're going to have a guest on the show to talk about inbox insanity. That's right. My friend Jordan Gill is going to be sharing her tips around inbox insanity. It's going to be awesome. So feel free to share that and tune in. And yeah, we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.
This episode is sponsored by Stupid Easy. Easily create, share, and sell your online courses. Discover more at stupideasy.com.